You are listening to the Julie Parker Practice Success Podcast, where you discover management insights and strategies for your successful dental practice. There are also interviews with key people in the industry who have advice and services to help you and your team achieve great success. Welcome to this episode of the Julie Parker Practice Success Podcast, and I am delighted to welcome back my American buddy, my American dental consultant buddy, Nancy Crossin of Do-It-Yourself DIY Dental Consulting. Welcome back, Nancy.
Well, thank you so much. It is my pleasure to be with you again. And it is my bad that I really didn't tell you that I'm rebranding. So the name of the company, it used to be DIY Dental Consulting, and now it's Complete Customizable Dental Consulting. Same page on Facebook. I just changed the name. I felt it was more understandable that this is a consulting program that the recipient, the dentist, the team, they get to customize so that it resonates for their particular practice.
I love that. And just before we launch into our topic for the day, just for those listeners out there that are not aware of complete customizable consulting and what that can mean for their dental practice and for their own careers, actually, can you explain it a little bit for us?
Yeah, I can be very brief because it's very simple. It is my consulting program, and I must say that Linda Miles is the mentor and advisor to this program. So to give you the depth of where we're going with this program. It is a consulting program. It's my very own consulting program that I go into practices with. But because I am stepping out of that piece, this is what I'm giving. I'm giving my consulting program that the practice, the dentist, the team members, they can customize it so when they finish with their program, it's now theirs, it resonates for them in their practice. So you consider it onboarding. Consider that it will be just like I go into an office, just like you do, Julie. You have to do discovery first. We have to find out what's going on. What is the vision? What can the team members follow? They're going to have to know the vision. And many dentists have had it, but you know what? Sometimes you need to update that. Life is fluid. Things change. I can promise you that where I was at 5 years ago or even 3 years ago, I'm in a completely different space and a completely different mindset. So that's the point of this, is to have a program. They own it. It's very affordable, and it evolves as the practice evolves. When you hire, you now have an onboarding process. Not to me, that is one of my pet peeves, and it is many pet peeves. It's so unfair to hire somebody and not to train them, trial by fire. And if they don't get training at all, they'll do what they've always done if they happen to be in the field. And if you're lucky, it's good. But if you're not, they're going to do that. People need guidance and they want feedback. And this is a shortcoming in dental practices. And that is one of my pet peeves. And you know what? It's fixable. It's fixable with a program like mine. Now you have it in black and white. You've got your systems, protocols, discovery, team calibration, cash flow protocols. And it's very comprehensive. And it's very easy when the dentist allows the team members to get involved and co-create their program, because team members will support what they co-create. So
they certainly will.
We already hit on my first pet peeve. You just led me right there, Julie.
I love it, because that's what we're talking about today, isn't it? We're talking about pet peeves. And for anyone that is interested to learn more about complete customizable consulting, all the links will be in the show notes. So please go there and have a good look at all of that. But there are a bunch of pet peeves that you've discovered throughout your consulting and dental career, aren't there, Nancy?
Oh, there really are. And I want to make sure that everybody who hears this understands I have no ulterior motive at all. I am not being paid. I am not recommending companies. I'm saying this because of the years of experience, where I'm at now. What are these pet peeves? And maybe we can cut it off at the pass. Maybe you don't have to go through 30 years of this. Maybe you can have a solution, which is the job of the leader. That's the job. And to hire people and surround themselves with people who will help them reach their vision and their goal. And, I've thought about this so often because it's kind of almost a bum rap that dentists get. Most of them don't have the desire to be leaders, yet they have to do something. And so when things go down the drain in their practice, so they don't go the way they want them to go, then the consultant or anyone can say, oh, that's a leadership problem. Oh, yeah, that's a leadership problem. And so there's no recourse for the dentist. It's like a feel bad. But there is a recourse as long as everyone, the dentist, us, we're willing to be self-aware. It's okay if the dentist doesn't want to be the leader. It really is. And they have to know, gee, I don't think I'm going to do a great job. I have no desire. Desire is a big word. You're going to hear it often because desire catapults us to places where we never thought we could be. So if you don't have the desire and you're being honest with yourself, then there's ways to do that. Then the people you hire are everything. There's a book called Rocket Fuel by Gino Wickman, and he carefully explains the winning, successful combination in business. I really, really love this book. And there may even be some cheat notes for dummies on that. You may not have to buy the whole book because I'm going to tell you what the point is. The point is the successful combination, the winning combination is the visionary and the integrator, better known for us as the implementation part. But that in this book, visionary, integrator. And together, that's the combination. So many dentists are the visionary. They truly are. They know what they want. They're the people who are going to fill out discovery. They're going to create a vision that hopefully the team will follow. So they really are the visionary. It doesn't mean that the integrator is not. It just means that that's the person who's going to get the job done. Yeah. So is it worth it, Julie, to pay someone, a career person, to pay someone to do what you don't want to do and you may not even be successful doing, and you work in tandem as a team? I'm not saying we don't need other people. I'm telling you that specific combination is the visionary and the integrator. And that's how dentists can take their level to the next practice. And they
I love that. I love that because it is not obvious at all times who has which role. And sometimes it is through trial and error that you start to identify what that is. And many dental practices, like all businesses, they are told you have to have a mission statement and a vision and a strategy and a plan and all the things, a culture, all the things. And most of these things can be developed in co-collaboration with your team members, which I agree, that's always a winning team bonding process to go down. But the one thing that the owner, the main leader, needs to identify, and it can't be delegated to anybody else, is that vision. Where is this practice going to be in 5 years, 10 years, 50 years' time? Because it's the owner that's going to be funding it. It's the owner that's going to be there from day one all the way through to the last day. Team members can come and go. And so at the very least, that owner, that dental practice owner, needs to clearly understand what that vision is. But as you say, don't feel compelled to stick with it because we do evolve over time.
It's because life is fluid. Yeah. And I think that is a concern that dentists have because our discovery process, and almost every consultant has, I'm calling it discovery, whatever you call it, it's the investigative process. It's digging in to find out where we're going. And I say write with broad strokes and don't worry about how you're going to get there. Because if you worry about how you're going to get there, guess what? It's going to constrict. So don't worry about how you're going to get there. And remember, it's fluid. But start somewhere. Where do you want to be in a year, 3 years, 5 years? And not only will that change, but when someone's working this way, vision integrator, for their practice, for their patients, guess what? It only gets better. It'll be better than when they initially started it. They will add to because they are going to evolve. So that leadership piece also has that other piece of self-awareness. If you really know that this isn't your cup of tea, this is not what you want to do, it's okay. You don't have to do everything. Nobody has to do anything, by the way. Everyone can do what they want, and I say, how's it working for you? That's what I say. However, if you know that that's not the piece that you love, that you don't have a desire, then hire a talented dental professional who does want that. Hire somebody, get a consultant in, but someone's got to do the integrating. My sense is the consultant, you have great consultants like a Linda Miles. She gets the job done. She inspires people. But you know what? What happens when they leave? And I'm not speaking about Linda Miles. I'm speaking about what happens when now you're in a place and the consultant's left, you have your year contract, it's over. Well, you better have some trained people and some systems and protocols that you can change, because the bottom line is, even when a great consultant comes in, I know for a fact that the team has to customize it anyway. Because no one could write a program, Julie, that's customized for every dental office alone. They can't start with a program like that. It can end up that way, but how does it end up that way? With dentist input, team input. So
absolutely. And I often say to dental practices, you would have got this question all the time as well. A practice will call you up and say, what can you do for me? And it's such a broad answer, it seems silly to start reeling off all the ways that you can help them. And so bringing their mind back to using the analogy of, it's like a brand new patient coming into a dental practice, going into the dentist and saying, what can you do for me? Oh, well, I could do perio work for you. I could see if you've got any pockets. I could do some aesthetic work. I could put braces on your teeth. I could do this. I could do that. I could do all the things. But most of it's irrelevant. Let's find out, do an examination. Let's find out what conditions are at play at the moment that I can provide solutions for. And it is the same sort of thing with a dental practice, isn't it? That let's identify what's not going well, what you're unhappy with, and then we'll start from there. And that can evolve and change over time as well. Once I've got all my decay gone, once I've got my tartar removed, I'm on a hygiene program, now I can start looking at the aesthetics of my mouth or the position of the teeth, or I don't like a food trap over here, etc.
Absolutely. And the two-word answer to that question, when a dentist says, what can you do for me? And I learned this from my friend. I don't know if you know the company Dentimetrics. It's an analytics company.
Okay.
So he uses great company. Everyone ought to be using analytics. If they're not, they really are working blindfolded. It's like the dentist working without an x-ray. But he has taught me, this is years ago, he said this, and I never forgot. So that the dentist says, what can you do for me? And the two-word answer is, it depends. And everything you just said after that, Julie, is what comes into place. Yes, let's find out this. Let's investigate this. Let's see, is there a perio problem? Do you have enough bone? Do you need this? Absolutely. But the quick answer, because I don't know how a dentist can expect a comprehensive answer, because how would you know? So the answer is, it depends. And I have used it depends so much, I can't begin to tell you. And it depends is a great way to start, because now there's a series of questions.
Yes, that's right. And we go into that discovery space. We're trying to doing a lot of listening and prompting that information to come forward. So when dentists, you always hear the complaint by groups of dental practice owners, why didn't we learn all about this in university, the business management side of things? And of course, that's because you studied dentistry. You didn't study for an MBA. So if you wanted to learn about business, then you go study an MBA. But regardless of putting all that part to the side, you become a dentist. And whether you're an employee dentist or an employer dentist, you step into that role, and there are various number of characteristics and skills that you need to develop to be successful and happy in your career. And sometimes we can have some resistance around this, but a lot of it is involving effective communication with patients, effective relationship building with team members that are working with us on a daily basis, and a dentist does step into that role of leader, whether they are the business owner or not, because they are providing the pathway, the vision for the patient to get from point A to point B. But also they've got like a little mini business in that surgery within the larger practice that they're working in. It's like a little mini business in there, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I wrote in my notes earlier because it struck me. I'm thinking about leadership again. And when we become a leader by default, or we're not really thrilled about having to be the leader, and everybody, when you take on these roles, first of all, it's a role by example. So everybody's watching you. And we're going to make mistakes. So is that okay? It has to be okay, because how are we going to learn? But as soon as we start to blame, for instance, I didn't get any training in dental school, so that's one way to blame. Or I don't know whether you have a situation with insurance companies like we do in this country, the PPOs. Really across the board, I would say that dentists give up about 30%. So those insurance companies are just terrible. Or the person at the front desk, they're just awful. And as long as we start blaming, what we do is we take the focus. This is as a leader, we take the focus off of us and what we can do to solve that problem. And we then give up our power by putting it out there. Oh, what the insurance companies are doing. Oh, this person at the front desk. Oh, I've had nothing but aggravation. And I say stop that, because as an outsider looking in, if I'm speaking to any dentist here, I really want to give you this tip. When I hear dentists and I see dentists get together and they complain about their team members, and it's usually, oh, I can one up that. It's like when people complain, oh, I've got a worse situation here. And I sit back and think to myself, but you hired them and they're still in your office because you're allowing it. So stop blaming and start taking that energy to do something constructive with it. Own it. It's really taking responsibility, Julie, especially when maybe things aren't going so well, is very challenging. That's part of good leadership.
Absolutely. And I love what you said, that it takes the power away from you. When the minute you blame, you are saying, I'm not responsible, it's all their fault.
Exactly.
And the minute you say, well, it's all their fault, or the PPO fault, or the whatever fault, you're not interested anymore in the solution. You're not seeking a solution in that mindset. So I love that, step back into solution.
I'm going to go to one step further, that person has made a choice. It doesn't have to be forever, for now. That person has made a choice that they're living an unfair life and that they're a victim. Now, and I'm sure if they really thought about it that way, they would never want that for themselves. And they would never want anyone to see them that way. But that is the bottom line. Oh, things are so unfair, I'm a victim.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, gosh, it's so very powerful. Okay, I could put an end to this episode right now. That's very powerful. That's really something for everyone to take home with them. It's a beautiful concept. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So what are some of the peeves that dentists are moving through that don't necessarily have to have this terrible impact on their career?
And they don't. But I'm going to switch from leadership and talk about, this bothers me so much, and I know it has to bother the dentist. And there's something that can be done. This is really an easy solution. We don't have to sit with it. We don't have to have what they call here in this country the gold mine in your charts, which is all of the treatment that's been proposed and hasn't been accepted. So decline treatment. Dentists put a lot of effort into treatment plans, speaking to the patient, their own clinical skills. They're constantly up-leveling their own skills. And so the last piece is that the patient wants to either do it or not accept treatment. And I believe, and I have a dentist friend of mine, he said it perfectly 30 years. He said, Nancy, I believe every one of my patients wants to accept treatment. And I thought, that's powerful, doctor. And you know what? He's right. And as Linda Miles says, 70% of decline treatment falls apart in the financial arrangements.
Yeah.
All right. So now we have that as our big overview. Now let's go to, what do we do? I go into the practice and I'm told that I need number 14 crown. Dentist leaves. I'm now talking to the hygienist, the assistant, whoever, and I go, it doesn't bother me at all. I mean, nothing hurts. And so I'm not going to give you the other part of the conversation. This is what the patient said. Nothing hurts. I can't afford it. And I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to let it go. And if they don't verbally say that, that's actually what they do. They don't accept treatment, and that's the end of it. So what happens if nobody contacts them in the 6 months between when they were in to see the hygienist or had their last cleaning, and the next one is, what is the nonverbal communication? It wasn't that important, was it? Yeah. And the patient gets to say, see, I said it didn't hurt. Why should I do it? Instead of certain words like, this is the most affordable and most conservative time right now, so that the filling doesn't get bigger, larger, that it doesn't hit the nerve, that you don't need a root canal, and that it doesn't get worse. Now, what I just said, would need to be decided with the team members and with the approval of the doctor, what the doctor would like to have said. What do you want your team members to say when a patient declines, and what is the follow-up? And if there's no follow-up there, we're constantly on this treadmill for new patients. New patients are the answer. Well, the answer is not always out there. The answer is right there in your practice with the patients who declined, and it is, I'm telling you, it is a sin not to follow up.
And really, the thought that I'm having when you're saying that as well is, before you go out on a marketing campaign to generate higher numbers of new patients to come through your doors to fill the books, the very first step you should be looking at, which decides whether you go ahead with that marketing campaign or not, is your treatment plan conversion rate.
Exactly.
How many patients are accepting treatment? Because if that figure is low, getting more new patients will not fix the problem. You'll just get a whole bunch more incomplete treatments. But if that figure is high, then go ahead and do with your marketing.
Yeah. And now you're speaking about analytics again, because we can have great software programs, EagleSoft, Dentrex, whatever you think is great. But you know what? Getting a conversion rate is not an easy number. And analytics, they give you that. What is the conversion rate? And what they use that you cannot get in your software is not only do they have techie experts, they use artificial intelligence. And so the information that you can get from analytics is monumental, important. It's a must-have. And I can't imagine working with a practice without me using analytics. Of course, I can know their numbers. It takes a lot of time. And this is a program where you upload, all the analytics. You upload, and you've got everything that you need. Do you need it all the time? No. So yeah, I'm with you. The conversion rate is everything. So you keep spinning your wheels, paying more to get new patients that aren't accepting treatment either, because something's lacking in your own practice. You don't have a system to handle that piece.
Yeah. And the information's out there. It's just a matter of seeking it. And I do encourage practices who haven't stepped into the field of analytics. It's more than just report generation in your software. We're talking about a dashboard that shows various pieces of information that really show how you're tracking with your new patient numbers, the per appointment spend, the per doctor hourly rate, the number of patients who are reactivating, the number of patients that are booking in for that recommended treatment. And it is so much more elegant now than it has been in the past. And so if you haven't looked into it within your practice, definitely start doing some free demos with things like, down here in Australia, it's Jeeve, Jeeve, Dental BI for Dental for Windows. And I think a lot of them now have different types of analytics going on. Get the demos, have a look, start keeping your finger on the pulse of the practice.
Absolutely, Julie. I couldn't have said it better myself. And it doesn't have to be expensive. It is affordable. It is. In fact, I say you can't afford not to do it, because do you use something called a huddle in Australia, or a morning organization meeting? Yeah. So, for instance, part of the analytics is creating the huddle. So huddles seem to be, they don't even like the word. So I like to say a daily organizational meeting. Doesn't everyone want to be organized for the day? Don't you want to know where you stand? Don't you want to know, as the patients come through, do any other family members need appointments? Is there a balance due? You have to know, is there a medical alert? Is there unscheduled treatment? And we can go on because there's a list. And that's what analytics will do. They'll get you all that information. So the dentist doesn't need to pay each team member to show up at a meeting. I'd say about a half an hour would be conservative amount, a half an hour each day, 5 days. And it can end up costing, it can end up costing a couple of $1,000s to have these organizational meetings when the analytics does it for you. And guess what? They don't make human mistakes. There is no human error in analytics. So it's to a dentist's detriment not to have access that. And because and also analytics is a reality check. So you can say you've got an active perio program with your hygiene department. And let's say, I'm giving a number, let's say it's 30%. And now we look, and you know what? There is almost 30%, and it does look great, but we keep peeling the onion to find that it's only 4910s. You don't use our codes, but it's a perio maintenance. It's not any active scaling and root planing. All of these things are available to you in an instant. You can get what I just said through the reports, but in an instant. But the huddle, you can't. The huddle is looking for all of the information that you as a business owner want your team to be prepared with. And so again, analytics, being prepared, and that's the role again of the leader, to make sure that they bring the tools in to allow everyone, the team, themselves, and hence the patients, to be successful, and for the patients to enjoy coming in, and it's a well-run machine. And the patients love that. And if the team members don't have to spend their time doing these things that we just talked about, guess what they can do? They can be giving great customer service to the patients.
Yeah, that's it. And every single thing, we always look at the financial cost of doing the thing, whether it's we can't book a patient when we do the morning huddle, or I'm paying people to turn up even earlier to work to get that morning huddle done. So yes, there is a financial cost to that. But when you think about every minor 1% push in the positive direction for team harmony, better organization, efficiency, productivity is the thing that goes through the roof, and patient experience is the thing that goes through the roof. Yeah. So your practice will have a far stronger return on investment, to a point where you will always have those morning huddles. And I often say to dental practices, speak to practices that have very effective morning huddles and ask them, would you ever stop doing it? And they say, no way. So it's a journey. It's a journey to get them really fluid and conducted in a way that all team members are seeing value in it. But once you're there, you never want to stop.
And what I'm suggesting, I agree 100%. What I'm suggesting is analytics can take you there without all of that preparation from each person. And we're all human. If they miss 3 or 4 FMXs in a month, you've more than paid for the analytics program. And believe me, they're missing more than 3 or 4 a month. So that huddle, which does seem like a lot of energy, and to have it run like a well-oiled machine, and it is worth it. But what if there's a shortcut? And there is. And there is, because these analytics programs have the huddle online, and they use artificial intelligence.
And as you say, some shortcuts, you end up suffering, like the result isn't as good. But as you say, with analytics, the shortcut actually makes for more accurate information. The result is better.
Absolutely. Because we make mistakes. We're humans. This is algorithms. This is analytics, as I said. So I could miss something. I could be rushed in the morning and I'm auditing my 8 patients. I'm a hygienist. And I could miss something. It's very easy to miss something. And so if I miss something, and everyone misses something once a day, we could be missing 10 things and 50 things a week, and it's not necessary. It's just not necessary. And it keeps the practice being efficient. And with that, I want to read this quote because it is so perfect for what we're speaking about now. It's by Benjamin Franklin. And he says, watch the little things. A small leak will sink a great ship.
Wow, that's powerful.
It is, because there's your systems and your protocols. Those are the little things that most people don't really want to be bothered with the detail of it. And they don't have to be. There are programs they don't have to be. Now I'm not even talking analytics, because analytics is not giving you systems and protocols. Okay, that's these consulting programs. But, I think we just make it worse for ourselves because we bury our head in the sand, we dig a hole deeper and don't know how to get out. And sometimes it's actually embarrassing to share that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And then we avoid it. If it's embarrassing, we don't like looking at it. It makes us uncomfortable, so we avoid it.
Absolutely. But every single person who's looking to improve their life has some sort of coach, mentor, advisor. They really do. I mean, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have a Linda Miles in my life, a Joan Brisson in my life. I think about the people who have helped me along the way to see things differently. Which, Julie, I didn't expect this to happen, but this is a perfect segue into another pet peeve, and that's the mindset. Now, it's very difficult to find out somebody's mindset upon hiring, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. So a negative mindset, what that's going to look like to your patients, what that's going to look like as part of a team is, we have to do something else. No, we always did it this way. Or the patient goes, well, there's going to be a cancellation charge. And there's lots of no's with this negative mindset. And if the dentist, again, the leader or the integrator doesn't help the team with the mindset and give them some verbal skills, then I don't know what you can expect. Anything can happen. They have to have some framework. One of the things that we were saying in our webinar the other day was that the dentist wants to attract patients who believe in their philosophy. And I laughed out loud. I go, but the team member usually doesn't even know what the dentist's philosophy is. And you know what? Nobody's meaning anything intentional. We're just not thinking about these little things that mean a lot. Because if I'm a team member and I understand the dentist's philosophy, I understand how they like to work, I understand their ideal schedule, because all of this has been shared with me, I'm going to be much more effective. I'm going to be a much more effective team member. But mindset's super important, and something so simple as, because you can't ask anything during interviews, but I certainly can find out how a person feels about their teeth. I'm not asking about their health or the mouth-body connection. And I've had answers that I knew I couldn't hire the person. They said, I would never let a dentist touch my mouth. I had such bad experiences, and I haven't seen a dentist in years. How can we hire that person? But you might hire that person if you don't know, if you have no idea, if you didn't investigate and find out. And if a person comes for an interview, they haven't done any research, they haven't looked at your website, they know nothing. And here's my big tip. They don't have any questions. Well, Julie, when you're looking to advance your career, do you have any questions?
Absolutely. Because we're either, as a employee, we are either moving towards a very pretty picture. I love the culture of this particular practice. I love the values that they stand by. I love the area that they're in, the type of practice that it is, the services they provide. Or we're moving away from, I don't want to work in this bad culture anymore. I don't want to work with that kind of boss anymore. Right. And so when you're asked, do you have any questions? You want the answer to be, yeah, I want to make sure it's this awesome, or I want to make sure it's not this terrible picture because I don't want to go there.
Absolutely. So for me, a person who's interviewing, and I've interviewed hundreds of people, I've hired hundreds of people, I've been in this field for 40 years. And when there's no questions And maybe it's not so, but I'm thinking the person might be desperate. They just need a job. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anything. It doesn't matter the hours, doesn't matter the benefits. Nothing matters. Doesn't matter your culture, doesn't matter your mission, your philosophy, nothing, because they just need a job. And that's not somebody that you really want to fill the position with, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I conducted an interview with somebody just this past week. And I encourage, if it wouldn't be a fair question to a trainee or a young person, because they just need a job, they're still developing their skills and their love for the industry. But somebody who's experienced, I asked this person, what kind of team do you see yourself thriving in? And straight away she came out, when we have monthly team meetings where we've got each other's back, where we really resist gossiping about each other. And she reeled off for a good couple of minutes all of the wonderful aspects to teams that she's worked with in the past or that she's identified she wants to work with in the future, and that's what would help her thrive. She knew exactly, so don't be shy in asking those sort of questions.
And that's a great question, Julie. And I hope that people listening here can jot down, because you only need a few great questions during the interviewing process to find out a lot. And most of the time when I'm interviewing, I'm not speaking. I have my handful of questions, and I want to hear, who is this person and will they fit in? And for that person, that answer, that was just the person you wanted, wasn't it?
Oh, they're magnificent. I'm so close to going, don't go to any other interviews, just stick with this practice.
I'll hire you on the spot. And do you know anyone else just like you?
That's right.
Which leads me into another thought, that buzzword that we're hearing all the time, quiet quitting. And basically the definition of it now is that a person doesn't buy into the hustle generation. These might be younger people, and good for them. They want time off, and this isn't always, but this is a definition. They want to do just what's necessary. So
just to get by without being fired.
Right. So the thing is, Julie, that we've had this going on in this industry and in every industry forever. Yep. And the reasons it can happen, it can even be a great employee who's not a great employee anymore because of what's going on in the practice, because of what other employees are allowed to do, that there's no accountability. So I think that I know that the way around this is to check in. And you know what, team members, they're just hoping for an annual review. Why can't we have a conversation, a quick one? First of all, when they're hired, for the first 3 months, that's got to be many conversations. What you need, how can I help you, and help them succeed. You help them succeed, you help yourself succeed. So, But to have somebody that you hired up at the front desk and to never connect with them again, a couple of things, they got to ask a few questions or whatever, but to not help build this person into somebody that's a real asset for you, that's a crying shame. Does it take some time? Yes. But especially at the front desk, hygiene are the producers. Clinical, that's the favorite person that all patients love. The assistants, they love them. Front desk is your business center. Do you just hire anyone? Do we never check in again? Or when we do, it's to find mistakes that they've made? Do we have department meetings, not just the monthly team meeting or bi-monthly team meetings? Do we have department team meetings? Are we offering tools and asking, do you need anything to help you improve? Or do we have the right people, that book, the right people on the bus, the right people in the right seat on the bus? Because if we don't, you can't get maximum from someone who's not in the right seat, that really doesn't like what they're doing. But that's for us to discover. I don't want to discover it the hard way, do you?
No way, because it's too late by then. And resentment's built. And I remember reading or seeing, I can't remember, but it was a marriage counsellor who said, if I get people angry, because that's one of the reasons why we used to always call it employee disengagement,
Yep.
but now they're calling it the quiet quit. But if they get, because one of the many reasons, there are 100 reasons out there why you become disengaged with your work, and just ask yourself, what would make me disengage with my work? And you can come up with a whole bunch of reasons yourself. One of them is, for some reason, you've become angry, either resentful for a particular process or another team member or leadership or whatever it is. And this woman said that if I get a couple angry at each other, I can work with that. I can help them see things from each other's perspective and get them to forgive and move on. But if I get them when they're resentful, the anger's gone on for too long.
Yeah.
And that's far too strong a U-turn for them to make. And this is what happens if you wait for the yearly annual review to find out what's been bothering somebody for many, many months. If they've tipped into resentfulness, it's a very difficult battle to get them back in place to be happy in that team.
Long-term unresolved resentment, you can be sure that that's explosive. It's totally explosive. As Linda Miles puts it, she uses her 4 letters, HTTPS, hire, train, trust, and praise. Take the S off. And the number one reason why people become disengaged and are unhappy at their job, the number one reason, at least in this country, is a lack of appreciation.
Oh, look at the Facebook forums. The minute appreciation comes up as a topic, it's flooded with comments of how important that is.
I know. And unfortunately, you hear a lot of the negative too. But I think that we at least need to acknowledge that we have some responsibility. You can't hire someone and not check in anymore because you don't want to be bothered because you want to be in the treatment room. I get it. Okay, but then again, hire this integrator, this elite practice administrator, and make sure you surround yourself with a team. Teams ought to be able to work out their own problems in a healthy way. I mean, do they need guidance to do that? They do. Okay, but the teams, if they're pulling each other apart, if they're breaking apart, and you know what? I don't think it's that hard to see. If you're the dentist owner and you show up every day into your dental home, I think you know. Okay, if there's what kind of energy is in the air, and you can't ignore it. Can't ignore it at your detriment. Ignore it at your detriment.
And it has these repercussions in your recruitment because when you describe to an applicant what this position is going to look like for them, you go through the responsibilities. That's pretty much set in stone. But then you say, this is the kind of culture that you're coming into. This is the way we like to treat our patients. And you normally speak aspirationally. This is what we'd like. As an owner, you think, this is what I'd like to, this is what I keep talking about. But it's actually not what's happening on the ground. And so this new applicant will come in and do her trial period, come in and say, this is nothing like I was told. I'm out of here. Because the trust is broken, I'm out of here. I actually said yes because I thought it was a prettier picture than this. And what's in evidence to me is not that. Right. But if you also were honest with applicants about what the culture truly is, and it wasn't a great culture, they'd also be like, it doesn't seem like the kind of position for me. Right. And so whether you've got an existing terrific culture or you're aspiring towards building a better culture, be honest about that, but do the work inside the organisation. So if new applicants do come in, they see those efforts, they see the evidence that you're on the move, and they'll hang around for that because we're now working towards a nice goal. But the minute you start to have 1, 2 team members that are not terribly helpful towards a wonderful culture, delivering a wonderful patient experience, that slowly just becomes a dominant feature because you lose the good people who are delivering that. You're attracting good people who could deliver it, but then they bounce out again because it's not what they want. And all of a sudden, your practice has taken quite a shift and you can't hire effectively anymore.
You know, I love the fact that you said be honest about it, because as a leader and as a builder of relationships with patients, with team members, the number one fundamental necessity of any good relationship is honesty.
Yeah.
And again, let's keep it simple because honesty sounds so vague. Not just the dentist, everybody. Do what you say you're going to do. And if you don't, take accountability for it. It's just, it's so very simple. A patient and team members, they've got their radar out for dishonesty. So it would behoove the owner, associate, dentist to be honest. Now, do you have to tell team members every single little detail? Of course not. There's boundaries. But do what you say you're going to do and be accountable if you don't. And that's the example that they will set. And then during this conversation, we're talking about hiring and systems and protocols. If anybody understands prevention and preventative, it's the dental field. And so having your systems, having your protocols, having tools of the trade, isn't that really preventing what could happen down the road? Isn't that preventing something negative that could happen? So I don't know where we've lost that we're not using preventive stuff, because that's what we do. We believe in preventive dentistry. Almost every dentist believes in that. So how about believing in preventive? How about believing in bringing in tools of the trade so you can prevent things that could happen? I mean, you can't prevent everything, but you certainly could do that.
I love that, because with the hygiene maintenance programs for patients, we're not treating conditions, we are creating an environment for health. We're maintaining an environment for health. And as leaders of a dental surgery, it is a 50-50 deal. We need to create the environment for success. Sure, everyone else has a responsibility to jump on board with that, with enthusiasm and commitment and consistency of performance. But we never lose that responsibility for our 50% of creating the environment for success, because if you don't, you will allow the natural environment for potential failure.
Absolutely. Well said, Julie. And again, if this is too much for the dentist to take on, just be honest with yourself. And let's surround you with the right people who can get you there.
Because they're out there.
Oh, they are. They are. And they deserve to be compensated. For a dentist to be able to go home and not have so many distractions and problems on their mind because somebody else is handling that for them. Boy, sky's the limit. Isn't it worth anything?
Oh, absolutely. And that has a value to it. You know, we're talking about before return on investment and the financial cost of this and that, but we think about the physical, mental, spiritual cost of stress and worry and those awful feelings that you think, I'm not achieving success in the management or leadership side like I think I should be. And so now I feel bad about all of that too.
Yes.
There is an emotional toll all those sort of things take on us. And we need to be very careful around that and recognize there are things that we can do, activities that we can roll out that will minimize the negative impact and start to really tap into all the strengths and resources that the business has to offer.
I just love this conversation that we're having, and I hope that you have a lot of dentists who are listening to this, because we've peeled the onion. We aren't dealing with anything superficial here. We're peeling the onion, and what can actually be done. We're offering solutions. So you don't want to be a leader? Okay, well, don't go into the office and not be a leader. Then provide something else. Preventive again. Prevent, because if you don't do it, it'll be chaos in the office, and it is the owner's responsibility. So you don't like it, don't do it. People all the time. If people don't like to clean, well, they get a cleaning service. If you don't like to do this, so we do it all the time in life. Why not in our business and look at the success that it can be yours just by being honest and admitting what you can and what you cannot do, or better yet, what you will and what you will not do, and having that as your guide. Yes, I'll do this. I'm not willing to do this, but it needs to be done. So how are we going to get that to happen?
I love that. And I think there is an inaccurate belief out there that if I, as a dental practice owner, sourced a consultant to come through, or a consulting program such as Complete Customizable Consulting, that means I'm failing in some way, that I can't do it myself. Not so. You think about Tiger Woods, for example. He is an elite golfer. He's earned millions and squillions of dollars on the golf circuit. How many coaches does he have?
Oh,
He's
and
the top of the game. He's been the top of the game in the past, and he's still had coaches. They all do. All of these
oh,
elite sports people do.
Absolutely. I'm hoping that we've moved beyond in the cycle of the universe, that we've moved beyond that we feel badly if we can't do it all or embarrassed to ask for help. I have a feeling that we're shifting from that thinking. We all need help. No one can do it all. And yet again, I tell you, who understands more than this but dentists? Because they understand outsourcing to specialists. So they see a tooth that oh, you know what? I better not extract this. I better get an oral surgeon. I better not. This is beyond my scope. It's okay. No one can know everything and do everything. So I'm really hoping that we, your listeners, are beyond holding themselves back and their business and their success because they aren't doing it all, because nobody can. Nobody can do it all. No.
That's it. And we never get there. Not one person gets there and says, now I'm the perfect leader. I'm the perfect team member. I'm the perfect manager. I'm the perfect, I'm the one that does the perfect root canal filling in the whole world. No one gets there.
We're a work in progress. We're a work in progress with everything we do. And that's okay. And we don't need to be uptight about it, as long as, again, we're honest with ourselves. Yes, I'm a work in progress. This is where I want to go. And in order to get there, I'm going to need help. And those 4 words, I keep mentioning Linda Miles because she's like my aura. And those 4 important words, I need your help, will yield you a lot. I need your help. So the dentist to the team, a dentist to a consultant, a dentist in a mastermind group, me to another team member, you and I. Gee, Julia, you really do this very, very well. I'd love for you to show me how you do this. And you would be honored to, wouldn't you?
Oh, that's one of the desires and the things that cause great satisfaction in us as human beings, is for us to be able to share our knowledge and wisdom that we have gained over the years. And we all have a different area of expertise.
Yes.
What do they call it? A different genius zone, whatever they call it.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but so share it out. And this can happen within a team environment as well. You could have a collection of 10 different dentists, all general dentists, in the one practice. One will be stronger with their hourly rate generation. Another one will be stronger with their treatment acceptance rate. Another will be stronger with the relationship they've built of a very supportive environment in the surgery with their dental assistant. Another will be a better communicator, et cetera. We go on. And let's start sharing that wisdom that we've got. Let's start asking the masters of that particular niche area, how do you do it? Because I want to get better.
That's the masterminds, help each other. Yeah, and it is very satisfying. It's the most satisfying thing. That's why I'm doing this with you. I mean, it's the most satisfying thing is to be able to share what I've learned, because I got here through trials and tribulations. I can promise you that. I didn't get to where I am. Even the thought, doesn't it sound obvious that team support and what they co-create they'll support? But I wasn't always there. I got there through a lot of pushback from team members. So I've lived a life and learned, and I continue to live and learn. And it's an honor to be able to share this with you tonight, Julie.
Well, I really do appreciate it. I appreciate your time. I think there's a few more pet peeves that we could possibly focus on in a future episode.
If I could let's do it another time.
Yeah, I would love that. I would absolutely love that. But I do encourage everyone to jump onto Complete Customizable Consulting. Use the link in the show notes. Have a look at this extraordinary program that Nancy and Linda have organised and put together. And you, as you say, it takes the cost element out of it because it's very affordable, and it's training on the ground team members as you go. So the support doesn't just go after a year. It's there all the time, and you are then building on that for the future.
And thank you for your support, Julia. I so appreciate it. Thank you. I think you're wonderful.
You are absolutely welcome, and I love having you on as a guest, and I do hope that we get you back on to hear about a few more peeves. I love our conversations.
I look forward to it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Nancy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, then you should come along and join the club. The club is a whole library of lunch and learns with new lunch and learns being produced all the time that help your dental team gain greater success in your systems, in your team behaviours, in your patient management, in your patient engagement, in their treatment plans. They are usually around half an hour in length, and so team members can sit down, be paid for their lunch break, eat lunch while they're being inspired and delivered all of these insights and strategies that can be implemented so you all achieve greater levels of success. Also, Amina and I, my buddy from Dental Management Expertise, have a company, Dental Business Mastery, together. And our flagship online 1-year course for dental practice managers and dental practice owners to learn how to very successfully manage your dental practice is available. Head over to dentalbusinessmastery.com.au to find out more information, and has information about any other courses that we've got available. Also, make sure you do jump onto my website, julieparkerpracticesuccess.com.au, and you will see a whole load of free information. There are articles, the blog, downloads, templates, a whole load of things that are designed to help you overcome any specific challenge that you've got going on in your practice at the moment. If you have any suggestions of topics or guests that I can have on the podcast, please let me know. Thanks for listening.